Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Most welcome to writing class, dear students, and I hope you are all doing well with your family, with your beloved family. السلام در خدمت همه شاگردان عزیز. امیدوارم که همه تان جور و صحتمند باشین. خوش آمدید میگم به شما به درس امروزی. انشالله درسایی که گذشته ما خواندیم امیدوارم که همه فهمیده باشین. ما در درس گذشته پاراگراف را اینترودیوس کردیم، البته در هفته گذشته ما پاراگراف را اینترودیوس کردیم و پارتس آف پاراگراف را خواندیم و همچنان ترانزیشنز که بسیار مهم هستند ما خواندیم. امیدوارم که همه تان فهمیده باشین. In previous lecture we studied these things. In previous lecture we had an introduction on the paragraphs, parts of paragraphs, transitions. We have studied all them in previous lecture, and I hope you followed them and you benefited them. In this lecture we are going to study a new topic related to paragraph. So now let's get started, dear students. Before we start types of paragraphs, there is one important thing that I would like to mention is writing process or process of writing. Now you can pronounce it in both ways, process of writing and writing process. So before we write something, before we start writing something, we should follow these 4 steps, right? The first step is pre-writing, and the second step is, or step 2 is organizing, step 3 is writing, and then step 4 is, as you see, that it's editing or revising, right? Now let's study one by one. First, we have got writing process as step 1, pre-writing. Pre-writing means the first step is called pre-writing. Pre-writing is a way to get ideas. In this step, you choose a topic and collect ideas to explain the topic. Now, what's pre-writing? As you can see here, pre-writing is a writing in which we try to get ideas. For example, we want to write something. Before I start writing it, I think about the ideas. I just follow the strategies of ideas getting. Now, this strategy is called pre-writing. It means that we think about the ideas, we try to think that what should we write, how should we write, and what topic should we write about, how our ideas will go together, and what information should I put in. All these things we do in pre-writing. شاگردان عزیز، pre-writing step number 1 است که در این ما پیش از اینکه نوشته شروع کنیم به ذهن خود یک نظریه میاریم که در مورد کدام تاپیک ما بحث بگیریم یا در مورد کدام تاپیک ما نوشتن رو شروع کنیم، نظریات خود چگونه کلکت کنیم یا جمع آوری کنیم و چه قسمی تشریح کنیم. این همه سوالات را در step 1 number 1 که pre-writing جواب میدهیم یا میکنیم. For getting ideas, we have the listing techniques. Listing technique is a pre-writing technique in which we write the topic on the top of a piece of paper and write the words and phrases that come to our mind. The first technique that we use or we utilize while we are going through the first step, pre-writing, which is pre-writing, we follow the listing technique. Now listing technique is one of the pre-writing technique, one of the common pre-writing technique in which help us to guess the ideas and try to write the ideas that come into our mind, right? Now the listing technique, in simple words, we would say that a listing technique is a technique in which we try to list the words, the phrases or ideas that come into our mind. شاگردان عزیز، listing technique یکی از تکنیک های پری رایتینگ است که در این ما نظریات یا کلمات یا عبارات هایی که به ذهن ما میآید در مورد تاپیک ما اونها را در یک کاغذ نوشته میکنیم یا در تاپ اف کاغذ نوشته میکنیم تا از ذهن ما زود نرود. Now example of pre-writing, a person who has made a difference, یک کسی که در زندگی ما یک تغییر در میان آورده است. Now who is that person, right? Now check it out. My grandfather. حالا ما listing technique را استفاده میکنم که چطور listing technique از listing technique ما استفاده میکنم. مثلا uneducated, right? Farmer, worked hard, helped community, made a hospital, went to masjid every day, got up early, was the first person to buy a car, smart, improved the farming techniques, read new things, listen to experts, thought things over, brought me things, told me stories, advised me. Now, these are the words that come to my mind when I think of writing something about my grandfather. Now, my grandfather, these words are all related to my grandfather. Now, this technique in which I listed the ideas, the phrases that come to my mind is called prewriting technique, right? What do you call it? It is called prewriting technique. شاگردان عزیز آلش شما میتونین که یک تاپیک است در مورد بابا کلان من یعنی grandfather، ولی چیزی که در مورد بابا کلانم در ذهن من میآید اونها را مثل که شما اینجا میبینین این قسمی من نوشته میکنم، عبارت میآید، جمله میآید یا کدام کلمه میآید در مورد از این تکنیک من استفاده میکنم، یعنی این قسم من اونها را که خود یادداشت میکنم تا از ذهن من نرود. ولی این تکنیک که this technique is called prewriting technique. این تکنیک ما prewriting technique میگیم که as step number 1 has, right? This is called a prewriting technique. این عبارت از prewriting technique has, okay? Now, see, continue. Right now, pick one of the small topics, for example, improved farming techniques on his area. Make another list and write about that topic. ولی مثلا اون لیست که تکمیل کردیم، ولی از اون تاپیک ها را خونجا زیاد ذکر کردیم. اینجا ببینید شما زیاد تاپیک ها هستن. ولی از این تاپیک من یکیش را میگیرم. فرضاً ما کدامش گرفتیم improve farming techniques، فارمینگ یا کشت یعنی تکنیک های کشت ها را تحقیق داد یا پیشرفت داد، اینا میگیرم. و بعدش من make another list، یک لیست دیگه جور میکنم and write about that topic و در مورد اون topic با صحبت میکنم. This was step number 1. ایرا step number 1 step number 1 بود. Now in step number 1 keep in mind that we try to guess the ideas, collect ideas about the topic, and first of all we choose a topic and then we try to guess the ideas or collect the ideas and try to explain the ideas about that in a drafting way, right? And then later on we follow a technique which is called listing technique. In listing technique, we try to copy or we try to write down the ideas, the word, the phrase, the sentence that come into our mind, and then later on we try to make another list. We pick up one of the topics and then we try to make another list. So and then we write the words related to that. So this was step number 1. Now come to step number 2, which is organizing. Right? Organizing then step number 2 has. In this step, we organize the ideas into simple outline, making another list which gives more information. در این step ما کوشش میکنیم که نظریات به طور ساده outline کنیم یا منظم کنیم. Making another list which gives more information که یک لیست دیگه جور میکنیم که زیاد معلومات در موردش بدهد. Okay. Now, a person who has made a difference. Topic نمو است. A person who has made a difference. کسی که در زندگی ما یک تغییر آورده است. Now, who is that person? He is my grandfather. Helped community in 2 ways. Mega community را در 2 راه کمک کرده است. در جامعه را. Now, what are those ways that my grandfather helped the community to promote or to improve? Now, the first one is he improved farming techniques in his area. The second one is made a community hospital. Now, first of what I do in organizing technique, I try my best to pick off 2 ideas, right? And then 2 ideas which take the presidency among the other ideas, right? When you see that there are many ideas, there are many phrases, many sentences, and there are 2 sentences they take the presidency among the other sentences. Now, you should pick up those 2 ideas and then write them down. And after you have written them down, then try to write some subtopics which are related to those two main ideas. Like here, improve farming technique. Now, improve farming techniques in which area? Now, first, farming to terrace the land. Second, terracing helps prevent soil erosion. Number 2, made a community hospital. Now, in 2 ways, right? My grandfather helped the community in 2 ways. Now, what are those 2 major ways you should put to him? The first one is this, and the second one is made a community hospital. On the hospital in a big area. Now, you talk about the hospital, whatever you have written down that relate with the community hospital, you should put them right here. Now, this technique is called organizing technique. technique. Organizing technique is a technique in which we try to organize the ideas into simple outlining, and we make a list which gives more information about a topic that we have intention to write about. Now, that was the technique number 2. Now let's move on to technique number 3. اون technique number 2 organizing ما مختصر در تشریح میکنم. شاگردان عزیز organizing یعنی ترتیب کننده یکی از step های parts of writing است که در این ما یک موضوع را یک نظریه را بهتر ترتیب میکنیم و outline میکنیم نظریات خود. بعدا ما در مورد زو یک لیست جور میکنیم که لیستی که در مورد زو زیاد معلومات دیگه بدهد. مثلا شما اینجا اگزامپلش دیده میتونین. You see example of that here. Now, writing process, step 3, writing. Now, in this step, we write only the rough draft. Write a rough draft without thinking about your grammar, spelling, pronunciation, and so on. Step number 3 is very important step. In this step, we write only the rough draft. We write rough draft without thinking about your grammar, our grammar mistakes, spelling mistake, and pronunciation mistake is also given about here. While pronunciation has nothing to do with writing, it has everything with speaking, right? It's a spoken ability, not written anyhow. While spelling, grammar, structure of the sentences, these are the written ability. Okay, now grammar, it's something in which we try to organize the ideas in a better way, and spelling is something that helps us to pronounce words correctly. If you misspell, of course, mispronunciation definitely occurs there. Now, what's the step number 3? What does step number 3 say? Step number 3 says that before you write something, you have to think. And step number 1, we think of the ideas, pre-writing, and second, we organize it, and then third one, we write them as a paragraph without paying attention to grammar mistakes, spelling mistakes. We just try to write them down as a drafting, like as a rough work, as a rough draft. We do that. We do not care about the mistakes, and we do not care about even the tenses, right? That which tense should be used. We do not pay attention to all of them. Step number 3 شاگردان عزیز یک step است که in this step we write only the rough draft. در این step که از ما فقط ما شما به اصطلاح چتل نویس میگیم که مثل یک چتل نویس نوشته میکنیم که در این ما با توجه با گرامر، سپلینگ و این چیزا، پرونانسیشن و دیگه چیزایی که بسیار ماینر هستن، کوچک هستن یا خرد هستن ما توجه نمیدهیم. فقط نوشتن را شروع میکنیم تا یک چیز را پیش بریم. ببینید شاگردان عزیز, whenever we want to write something, our fingers do not move. What's the reason? The reason is that we have enough information, but we do not know the techniques how to write. Now, in order to write, the first thing is just start writing. Then later on, you can come across to you can revise it, you can edit it, you can make it better, you can polish it. You can do all these things later on. The first thing is pick up the pen, list the ideas, and then start writing. Now, if you follow this writing process, I'm sure you can be a good writer, and great ideas can come out of your mind. You can bring out the best in yourself, right? Now, see example of writing draft. A person who has made difference. My grandfather. My grandfather helps his community in 2 ways. My grandfather helps his community in 2 ways. My grandfather, born in 1880, he was a farmer. He was a farmer. Mistake, grammar mistake. He was farmer, not well educated. Maybe went to school for 1 or 2 years. On those days, children were needed to work on farms. He was first farmer to raise the field. People thought he was crazy. Now everyone does it. Now tracing helps, شما ایره بخونین نظریاتی که شما انجا ما شما در listing technique یعنی در pre-writing technique گرفته بودیم اونها را مثل یا مانند یک پاراگراف نوشته کردیم که در این پاراگراف ما با توجه با اشتباهاتی که در گرامر است یا کدام غلطی که از گرامر میشه گرامر در نظر گرفته میشه او را هیچ توجه ندادیم، فقط نوشته کردیم مثل یک شکل نویس. اینجا بعدشان مثل وقتی که شما مثل چطور نوشته میکنین ایره باز میگن step number 3 که ایره میگن writing, right? What do you call it? We call that writing, just writing us. یعنی ایره یگان وقت drafting برش هم گفته میتونیم که ما با importance of grammar اینا چیزها رو نظر خود نمیگیریم، فقط نوشته میکنیم. Now this is how we put drafting. Now see that, don't like slang word and important. یک چیزی که باید یادآوری کنم شاگردان عزیز، کلماتی که زیاد تو پیچیده باشه، sophisticated باشه، سلنگ باشه، عام نباشه یا مهم نباشه یا مربوط از این تاپیک نباشه، کوشش نکنین که شما ذکر کنین. ما و شما میفهمیم که در این روزا حوصله ما از بیشتر کده کمتر شده است. نه، بهتر از این است که شما موضوع را در کلمات بسیار ساده و بسیط واضح تر بسازین تا وقتی که کسی ریدینگ میکنه او دلتنگ نشوه و چیزی که شما نوشته کردین همیشه مکمل و قطع دلچسپی یا علاقمندی بخوره. این چیزا هستن. مثلا من اینجا که چند تا کلمات سخت هستن، اما بازم شما میتونید که در دیکشنری خود پیدا کنید. erosion است، این تاپیک مربوط از این میشه، farming کلمه word است. ولی من این نمیگم که I don't say that you don't have to use words which are not very common. There are some words that are considered academic words. You should academic words. You should put them there if it's really needed to the topic. I mean, it's related to the topic. If it's not related to the topic, no, dear students, do not try to use it. Do avoid these things so that you will be able to keep your reader interested in your topic. Now, writing process number 4, right? This is the last process, which is writing process number 4. We call it polishing, revising, and editing, right? Now, what's polishing, revising, and editing? Can you think of any word that goes through that refers to these 3? Yes, of course, you know that the step number 4 is, if we have studied pre-writing, listing technique, and we studied polishing technique, revising, and sorry, we didn't study polishing technique, sorry. Let me just come back. Let me take my words back. So the first we studied the pre-writing technique. The second we studied organizing technique. Third we studied writing technique, which is also called free writing or drafting technique. The last one is polishing, or step number 4 or technique number 4, polishing and revising and editing. Now this is the last process. What's revising? Contains the bigger issues like organizing the contents, right? Revising, we do revising as well whenever we want to pay attention to the bigger issues like the contents. For example, you are writing about your grandfather and suddenly you make mention of somebody else, and that really drags the attention of reader to somewhere else, and that things are not related to the contents. Now you try to make it relevance to the topic. So wherever you do wherever you are rectifying the bigger issues related to the contents, it means you are revising your topic. You organize it, right? The bigger issues. In a revising process, we try to organize the bigger issues which are out of the contents, which are not matched with the content. There is mismatch with the content, so you should do it in revising process. The second is editing. Editing contains smaller issues like grammar, spelling, good words, bad words, and punctuation. Remember, students, mostly revising is done by the proofreader. Now, suppose you have written a topic, and now if you want to make it better, so you should give it to somebody for proofreading. Now, whenever you hand it over to someone for proofreading, so try to think about his education level, and if you believe that person knows more than me in this field, in this area, then yes, of course, you should give your topic to them. If you do not believe that person doesn't know more than me in this area and this topic, then you shouldn't give your topic to that person for proofreading. Now, revising is mostly done by the proofreaders. Proofreaders do this, right? And editing is very pretty simple. You can do it by yourself because it contains the issues like grammar, spelling, good words, bad words, and punctuation. Now, suppose you have written a word which is not correct according to grammar, you should punctuate it, right? Now, if you are rectifying the punctuation mistakes, it means you are doing the editing process over your topic, right? Now, this is that's something that you should consider before you start writing, right? Okay. Now, editing is something that you put, like mostly good writers, they do is this, edit, right? Now, revise itself means to check it out, right? Now, شاگردان عزیز آیا ریوایس معناش ما بازبینی میگیم یا تجدید نظر کردن را میگیم ریوایسینگ که یک موضوع است اصلاح نمودن هم برش گفته میتون. اصلا در اصطلاح اگه ما اینا رو معنا کنیم ریوایزینگ ادیتینگ یک معنا میدهند چون یک قدر فرق نمیکنه با هم، اما وقتی که ما با پروسس بریم باز فرق میکنه که ریوایزینگ را ما بازبینی گفته میتونیم یا اصلاح نمودن چیز یا دوباره یک چیز را دیدن. و ادیتینگ هم ادیتینگ مینس اصلاح کردن یک چیز را مثلا اصلاح کردن موضوعات بسیار خرد مثل که گرامر باشه اسپلینگ باشه همچنان کلماتی که تو استفاده کردی گود نیستن اونجا منظم نیستن bad words هستن اونا را از بین میبری بسیار polite باشیم. You should remember one thing that dear students do not use bad words in writing because people do not like it, right? So try to be as polite as you can while you're writing, okay? If you are saying the worst thing to somebody, you should say it in a beautiful way, in a way that you don't dishearten the reader, right? So now check the good words, bad words, and punctuation. All these things are done in what? In editing process. Now the last one we have is not the last one, but we'll come to that. Editing by your classmate or friend after by your teacher. Now, if you believe that you have studied, I mean, you have edited everything in your topic, so you can give it to your classmates or a friend who you think is in the same level with you. So that person will also, your classmate will or your friend will read it for the editing purposes. Once he is done with it, then give it to your teacher. Your teacher is it can be a great source of rectification of your paragraph or your topic, whatever you have written about. Okay. Now continue. The person who has made a difference, my grandfather, you can check it out. My grandfather helped his community in two ways. My grandfather born in 1818. He was a farmer, not well educated. You can see this topic. You can read it by yourself. It's the topic that we have been talking about since we started the discourse over the process of writing. Okay. Now you see this. You see this. You know, you can pause the video and read these things by yourself. Wow, come on. Check it out. Okay, the effect is played, so it takes time. You can pause the video and read this with yourself, right? Okay, dear students, this was our today's topic. If you have any questions, suggestions regarding this, you are most welcome to ask me. Stay safe and stay blessed wherever you are, whatever you do. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you safe and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep you safe from evil eyes. شاگردان عزیز این بود درس امروزیمون. کدام سوال در مورد پاراگراف پروسس آف رایتینگ داشته باشین you are most welcome. یک چیزی که در نظر خود باید بگیرین شاگردان عزیز وقتی که شما یک نوشتن میکنین همیشه کوشش نکنین که بهتر نوشته کنین چون این امکان نداره. اگر میخواین که شما رایتینگ یک چیز رو نوشته کنین بعداً میتونین که او را بهتر بسازین. بهتر نوشته کردن از اول از هم اولتر امکان نداره. مثلا یک چیز را قد نوشته میکنین بعد از شما او را بهتر کرده میتونین. هم مهمی است که تو اول نوشتن شروع کنین. آغازش کمی سخت میباشه وقتی که قلم کتابچه را گرفتین و نوشتن شروع کردین همه چیز آسان‌تر میباشه. ما اصلا زیاد فکر میکنیم در مورد جو من نوشته کردن نمیتونم در موردش معلومات ندارم زیاد سوالات پیش از این که ما نوشتن بجای از این که ما مستقیما نوشتن شروع کنیم ما we are trying to host our PT party. We are saying a lot of different words. Like those different words really dishearten and discourage us. Now do not try to discourage yourself. Just pick up the pen, start writing. Once you have written there, then you will be able to rectify it and make it better. And even myself, whenever I write something, I even read it more than 17 times, right? Because the more I read, the better it becomes. So you should do the same. First, you write in a drafting, and second, you have to put it in a way. Then once you kept doing these things, I'm sure you will get accustomed to this, and you will be able to write better at the very first time. Stay safe, stay blessed, and follow some of the techniques, and then I know it's a divine skill sometimes. It's a God-gifted skill. I understand that. But still you should practice it and because you can make it better by practicing. Stay safe and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you.